things just get crazy, as you can tell by my hair. Okay. Hello, God go after, and welcome to Sports Mall this evening. This evening we have a wonderful question. And the question, of course, is how do we know our value? How do we establish and maintain and just hold on to that which we should find the most valuable, and that, of course, is our self-worth. So we'll talk about that a little bit tonight, answer a question, and give out a free t-shirt, because that's what this is all about. So no further ado, let us start by saying, wait, over there it is, New Reality TV. For those of you who haven't had an opportunity, a great opportunity is coming up on the 29th and 30th of this month. There will be a summit. That summit can be registered for on newrealitytv.com. There, while you're there, you can check out all the presenters, myself included, who will be at this summit and presenting a bunch of different perspectives, which I hope will give you just that piece of intellect that you really need to kind of kickstart things and help you get feel comfortable about getting back to your path. Remember, your journey is different than all of ours, so embrace it. So check that out over there, New Reality TV. newrealitytv.com. You will not be disappointed. Tons of plethora of all types of different perspectives. So a wonderful location to find all this stuff. I also want to give a shout out. Here it is over here. NorseWhispers.com. Of course, my website. And there you can find two really exciting pages. One, let me see if I can do it right. There we go. Is, of course, our friends. Those are the individuals who support us, whether it be in mind, body, or spirit. And I'm so proud to have them associated with us. They are wonderful in all their own ways. So check them out. Let's see. Oh, there we go. I'll get this, I swear. And then the other page, which I think will do, some of you have been asking me about, and NorseWhispers.com/coaching. And of course, this is our life coaching services that we offer for anyone who feels they need kind of, hopefully, just to bend my ear, because they're pretty flexible. Come on down. We'll have a conversation, and hopefully we can find something that works for you. All right. Again, as always, I want to say tonight we are without TikTok Live, but we will get through. I will post this video to TikTok once we're done, so you'll have it in the not live TikTok, but not in the live TikTok. Facebook and YouTube, I want to say thank you as we are broadcasting live there. I also want to say thank you to New Reality TV over there for broadcasting live there too. So thank you to all of those providers. And thank you for dialing in and checking out, hopefully, some good information that you can use. All right, so with all of that administrative hocus pocus aside, let's talk about our value, what you're worth. And you are incredibly unique. If we took you and compared you against, say, a gemstone, one of those beautiful stones, cut to perfection and just shiny and beautiful and worth millions, right? Well, you're more rare than they are. So think about your path that you've traveled, whether you're proud of it or not, okay? Whether you agree with the things you've done in your past or not. Each of those events, each of those experiences have cut away a little piece of of that original stone to begin to reveal the beauty that you have become. Okay, so each of these experiences kind of chips away at one little facet, continues to make us shinier, more brilliant, more refined, and certainly as valuable as you are. All right. Now, many of us say, well, hold on there, shaman. You might be going a little bit too much and setting the bar a little high for me because I really haven't done anything of any value. Contraire. Now, let me explain a little self-reveal here for those of you who do not know me. At 14, my parents separated. And when my parents separated, my father and I got into a brawl, right? So for many years, I kind of blamed myself for breaking up our family, all right? So that's a pretty heavy burden for a 14-year-old boy to carry. Right about that same time, I got into drugs and alcohol, probably because I was an empath and I didn't know it, right? So I was feeling things that in a lot of cases, granted, I was 14 at the time, so the hormones are about 80% of the problem. And then the other 20% was, well, of course, I was receiving emotional energies from other people around me, and I didn't know how to deal with it just yet. I couldn't compartmentalize it in my mind yet. And so I was really becoming overwhelmed with emotion. And a lot of times as a teenage boy, that would kind of result in kind of this anger, right? This frustration that would boil into anger. And of course, I had, I'm sure, anger issues as would have been perceived from the outside. Now this, like I said, this started at 14. It would wind me up in the Pima County Correctional Facility before enlisting, getting a opportunity to enlist in lieu of serving more jail time. I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. By this time, I'm 18, of course, 17, 18. And I had gotten into kind of this higher level of drugs. And so much more, in my mind, I was quashing all the feelings, right? So I wasn't feeling, I was numb to feelings, to emotions. And so the higher I get, of course, the less I felt things. And so the worse it got. Until I went in and out of the Marine Corps addicted to cocaine and heroin. This continued with more or less a fueled rage that went from 1987 to 1989, where I overdosed. I took way too much heroin one evening and found myself comatose. In an out-of-body experience, I got to witness my body for the first time from a third party, right? Not something I was too excited about, all right? However, it was during those moments that I did get some level of clarity, and all of a sudden it kind of dawned on me that this wasn't the right path. Fortunately, my God, Odin, who would send a messenger, a man who I credit with saving my life, because he essentially found me there in a drain culvert in Tucson, Arizona, picked me up, wrapped his belt around me and him so he could put me on his motorcycle with him. We rode from that drain culvert to his home, where he had a mobile home. They locked me in one of the bedrooms that had the bathroom, so it was the master bedroom, really. But it was really stripped down. I mean, it had no amenities, nothing in it except literally a bed, a floor, and a very sterile bathroom. So I spent 2.5 months coming to terms with what I had done, what I was doing, what my body was doing, the physiological perception of the need for this drug. So I fought a lot of battles in 2.5 months, and at the end of there, we claimed victory. We said, no more. I'm not touching this stuff, not even recreational. I'm not doing it. And so this man who found me bought me a pickup truck, packed all my family belongings in it, and sent me 2,200 miles north to rejoin my family in at that time, Oak Harbor, Washington. Now, to say that, there's no value in, that was horrible, and how did you ever recover? And you made this huge journey of nothing or of everything to reach the pinnacle. No, that's not the case. When I got to Oak Harbor, I was struggling quite a bit. I mean, I had just kicked a roughly, let's see, we're talking 8 years that I had been a user. So I was in pretty good or bad, whatever your perception is there. And so when I got to Oak Harbor, I struggled quite a bit. And almost 7 months to the day of me stating my being clean, I met and married my shield maiden, whom now we're getting ready to celebrate 35 years of, I won't say bliss, but I will say marriage and teamwork. And she's taught me an incredible amount. Some of which she has no idea, some of which she does, right? So, and through this now, I have begun a path of rediscovering who I was, who underneath all of that bravado and that ego and that, all of that other stuff, who I was. Now, just before I met my shield maiden, in the early spring, late winter, early spring of 1990, I could have just said, you know what? I don't have any value. I don't have any redeeming value. So why not? But I did. And one of the things that the Landvade would provide for me, even though I didn't know just yet who they were, one of the things they would provide for me is this idea of my story, is how others may think about, well, maybe I don't have any value. Maybe I haven't done many things right, and I've, messed things up, but you do have value. Now, many years later, once I left the Christian church and I began to really practice being a shaman and learning the ways of the spirit, I would be educated in the exact reason why we have so much value, why you and I have so much value. Even though we may not be in the queen's headdress of jewels, we nonetheless are very precious, and here's why. We each possess a unique, one-of-a-kind, nowhere else ever in history or ever will be, a perspective on many different experiences that no one else can have. We are one of a kind in that regards. So when we think about men like myself, or maybe even yourself, as we want to learn more about something, it's better to see it from more perspectives, right? We buy a car, we don't just look at it, one picture, and that's it. Okay, let's spend $150,000 or whatever the car costs, right? We don't spend that money with just one picture, right? We look at it from all dimensions. We look underneath, and we open the hood and the trunk, and we look in the back seat for those of us who are buying sedans. For you sports car guys, you look in the front seat. What kind of instrumentation is available? What's the stereo system? Right? All of these questions are going through your minds. Can you see the Brembo brakes through the wheels, right? Okay. We're going to check it out fully. And this is how we should address our experiences in life, and not seeing it from a narrow perspective, but opening that perspective up a little bit. See it from the left, see it from the right, see it from behind, see it from above, maybe below, who knows? You're looking at it in its entirety, right? And so your perspective, when we're standing around and we're looking at a particular subject or thinking about a particular thought, it is fantastic for, I know it is for me, when I turn to the person who's kind of looking at the same thing, but from a different perspective. And what do you see? Right? And we begin this dialogue, and I learn what their perspective is. You know, what filters they have on, what they're looking through to see whatever this is. This is a very critical part of understanding the entirety of something. We can't see the entirety until we have your perspective. That's value. That makes you very precious. I don't want to embarrass you, but you're a needed part. You are a needed part of the human experience. There's no way you have lost your value, right? Others around you may not see that because they don't know what to look for. So maybe if you're hanging out with a bunch of people and a bunch of people are like, maybe you need to change your people. Because you are certainly worth it. You have a value, a wonderful, precious value to this experience we have called life. And for us to see the bigger picture, to see the much grander scale, we need to be able to see it through your eyes. Because that's going to help us. And hopefully, you can see the perspective through our eyes. And we begin to share our perspectives. And we all learn and grow together as one. Right? So when we talk about self-worth, many times this old world that we live in has a tendency to want to kind of beat us down. Boom, 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 boom. Kind of beats down our spirit, maybe hands us with a bunch of obstacles or challenges, or maybe even things that didn't pan out. Okay? Paths that weren't entirely fulfilled. These have all taught you. And the beautiful thing is you can teach others. Yeah, that path's not, no. One of the other things that my great-grandfather told me in a dream, which I very much appreciated, was when our spiritual center, when it's made, when it's actually formed in the universe, out there, wherever, and it's formed, there's an energy particles, several of them, that are actually embedded in this collection that becomes self-aware, that becomes what we know to be us, right? So our spiritual entity, we have all this energy, we're bound together in a certain way that we become cognizant. We have a consciousness. And that consciousness then begins to attract other energies and continue. Now, these several particles of energy are given to us by the deities, by the gods. This energy comprises part of our spiritual core. Now, in the normal process of life, that spiritual core is then connected to a physical form, right? And we connect to this physical form so that we get this emotional education, right? We remember that, right? And so we're going to pull that stuff in. But here is the kicker. You ready? All right, here's the kicker. I love this. This is what my great-grandfather told me. these particles of energy of the deity that's within our spiritual core transmits our modified memories to the spiritual realm. Which means, you ready? We're teaching the gods how another perspective of this experience, right? Maybe a perspective that's never occurred in history before. And so it's new to them. And so as we experience it, our filters are then going to filter it, right? So that it's going to go through our processing, going to do the whole emotion thing. We're going to bring up our emotions, remember the comparison, find it in the recipe book, say this is what we feel. That feeling is then attached to the memory, the imagery, or the audio, or both, and then stored in memory, right? Memories are connected to our consciousness. Remember that plate? For those of you who have been following me, you probably know what I'm talking about. But for the rest of you, it's just like a little plate. It sits on top of our head. And this is our consciousness. And our consciousness is in contact with our physical brain when we're awake, right? So we're processing all the sensory input. And we're storing it in memories. So the consciousness is in contact with our physical brain and our memories, right? But when we fall asleep, then that consciousness slides back and it's in contact with our spiritual brain and our memories. When it's in contact with the spiritual brain and the memories, that stuff is transmitted then to the spiritual realm, because the spiritual self is still over there in the spiritual realm. It's just connected to us. So it's over there and it's sharing your experience, your remembered experience. Your memories are being shared to the spiritual realm as a different perspective, a different way to look at things. So this is what I mean by educating the gods. So that's right, you educate the gods by experiencing your life, by dealing with the experiences that you have in this realm at this time. You're sending that information through the spiritual brain to the spiritual realm, and you're educating the gods, the other spirits, and all the other forms, who can now see a new perspective to this view, whatever we're looking at the moment. That's super. An advisor to the gods? That's got to be worth something. That's a heck of a job title. So next time you're feeling a little down on yourself and you're saying, what am I really worth? You remember that you're an advisor to the gods. Put that on the old signature line. My friends, you are absolutely valuable and you are wonderful, and I am so glad you are, particularly in my life and on this planet right now, to enjoy this life with me and many others that are here. We love having you, and we can't wait to see your next big adventure and learn more about the different perspectives that we can have in this lifetime. All right, my friends, please feel free. Wait, let me see. Oh, almost got it. Okay, to visit New Reality TV. You want to sign up for the summit. It's coming up pretty fast, so make sure you get in there and check it out. It's a free thing, so no cost involved. You just show up. You can even be in your jammies, and you can show up, watch, enjoy it with us, learn with us, love with us, share with us. I guarantee you it's going to be great. All right? So be sure to check it out, newrealitytv.com. Button's right on the front page. You can't miss it. All right? I wish you all the best. Happy Woolton's Day. Enjoy. Remember, I love you, and you need to love you.